Boom. What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Golden Boot Podcast. It's whatever time of day that you're watching right now. I'm not going to say tonight. I'm not going to say good morning. I'm not going to say good afternoon. But whatever time of day you're watching, great. I'm glad that you're watching this show. Hey, listen, we're going to talk some Georgia football tonight. That's right, Georgia football. We've got a guest who is a lot more seasoned in Georgia football than I am. But we've been previewing all of the SEC teams across the board. So whatever time of day, I want to say tonight so bad. It's tonight where I am. So we're going to preview Georgia Bulldogs tonight. And we've got a very special guest, Anthony. I'm going to bring him on. We're going to get this thing kicked off. This is the Golden Boot Podcast. Let's go. Anthony, what's going on, man?
Hold on a second. I had to do it. Had to do it. Hey, okay, that's enough of that because the whole time I'm not spelling GE or RGIA. We were just talking about ASVAB scores being lowered to 44 for people in the military. There's some people going, why are they spelling Geordie LaForge from Star Trek Deep Space Nine? Anyway, hey, how y'all doing, everybody? Is everybody doing all right tonight?
Man, everybody's doing fantastic, my friend. I'm excited because you got Georgia all over that podcast studio in there.
You got Sanford Stadium here. You can't really see it. You got Sanford Stadium, and then of course my man Big Baby Jordan Davis, the real Big Baby. Don't get it twisted. Yeah. Kenneth Perkins was just a dude who liked cheese sticks. That's Big Baby right there. And then of course I said it. Hey, Perk, come find me. And then you got Coach Smart over here kissing the trophy. I had to get those. 41 years. I was 9 years old when Run Lindsay Run happened, and Herschel Walker had his breakout season. And unfortunately, and Coach Dooley lived long enough to see another championship. Unfortunately, the late great Larry Munson was not there. I would have loved to have heard him narrate Third and Ringo. But been a dog fan for as long and as far back as I can remember. And I'm in the immortal words of the great Eddie Murphy as Prince Akeem. I am very happy to be here.
Okay. Well, good. We're very happy to have you. And I've got a different G on my hat, but I can turn it into a Georgia G just as easily. It's just the wrong.
You got the light. It's actually red and black. You just got the lights off. That's all. You got the filter on. You got that backwards filter. See, Georgia's actually black. Right. I'm looking the wrong way. The camera's over here. Georgia's actually black. You know that filter they put on the reverse filter?
Yep. Yep.
He
I'm wearing white face, if anybody didn't know. So there you go.
That baby right there is not mine. That baby is a Slavic baby. He is from the hills, the Caucasus Hills. That baby right now got a credit score of 740. Just because you name him Darren don't mean he belong to Darren.
Ah, there you go. I like that.
I could have Cat Williams here, and that's perfect. That is beyond perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So you mentioned 41 years. So is that what Georgia fans say to each other? Where were you at when we broke the 41-year streak?
I don't know because there's not a whole hell of a lot of Georgia fans in the 405 where the wind comes whipping down the plane. There is a large contingent across the state. There is a Facebook group, and a whole bunch of us were extremely disappointed when they rescheduled the game because trust and believe, I had my finger over the button ready to buy the tickets. Right. But then they rescheduled that. But as far as other Georgia fans, we talk about it endlessly, man. I remember sitting around the big TV. Those of you that are old enough watching right now to remember the big TV that sat on the swivel, and the remote control was whoever the child was that was closest to the TV. But I remember that laying on the floor on my stomach with my knees kicked up and my hands under my chin, going, "Did they win, Daddy? They won. Go Dogs!" And it just was there years of frustration behind that, like the national championship, second and 26. The multiple SEC championships where Mark Richt, God bless. I just have to say this. Georgia fans, if there are any of you watching right now, shut up about Mark Richt being a bad coach. I'm sorry, not Georgia fans, because Georgia fans love Mark Richt. Those of you, the rest of you in the SEC that has something to say about Mark Richt, after Vince Dooley retired, I dare anybody to name any coaches between Vince Dooley and Mark Richt.
There you go.
And a lot of people can't, because the program was, I mean, it basically was, it basically was Georgia and Georgia Tech playing each other every year going, you want to win? No, you win. We losing this year. It was that bad. He brought the program back into prominence, multiple 10-win seasons. I mean, the blackout game when they stomped the yard in the end zone against the Gators. I mean, he turned the corner. He just couldn't get him to turn the corner all the way. So, but there was mad frustration there every year. Just can't get by Nick Saban, can't get by Florida. The loss to, I believe he was there when they lost to Tennessee. That heartbreaking Hail Mary at the last second.
Oh, yeah.
And then this kid, who I did not know played for Georgia, and I feel bad as a Georgia fan, because while I was in the service, I really didn't have no time to sit down and watch ball like that. I just didn't track it like that. Thank you for your
service, by the way. Thank you for your service.
But I think that man over there too, Semper Fi, Marine.
That's right.
I catch it.
So, but I didn't know he played for Georgia until he became the coach. And I was like, oh, snap, he played? I mean, he was a little mean. He was mean and fiery back then, too. And he came in, and within 2 years, he had them competing for a national. 2 seasons had them competing for a national championship against Nick Saban, who he worked for. So, I'm not going to lie. I don't know if Chris and I were associated or connected on Facebook then, but I made a post on Facebook, and I was about yay far away from boohoo crying, because I was like, it's been 41 years. When Keely Ringo made that interception on third down, I was running beside the TV. Run, damn it! I was that guy. And then the following year was just the icing on the cake, man. I at that point, like, for me, it was like, okay, I got one more before I go to the grave, so I'm good. And I was like, oh snap, they might win another one. And then after that, you couldn't tell me nothing. It's amazing I now know how it feels to be a fan of a team that has won back-to-back championships and now has multiple trophies. We don't have to hear the jokes about the half-empty trophy case. So I'm good. I'm good, and it's good to be able. It's good that Chris. I just want to say now, before we even get into it, I appreciate you recognizing what it is that that I do, and mine is just for the as an enthusiast and a fan of the team, that you thought enough to have me come on here, because I love talking about my dogs, and I love cutting up and cracking up, but I'm pretty sure y'all figured that out already. So,
well, here's the thing. Your name was literally the first name that he brought up as soon as we said Georgia. So,
he was there. Chris, how did we meet? How did you wind up running into me? How did we run into each other?
We were in a Facebook group together.
Was that?
And we ended up with the guy that Facebook group. So we all split off and started a new group,
right?
Which I'm no longer part of, but that's a story for another day.
That's what it was, because you started watching our show, and one of the things I love to do on the show is you give me a like Eddie Murphy said, give a brother rope, you want to be a cowboy. So I'll take something and run with it. And then I think the icing on the cake was me calling the show on of a friend of Chris's, and then just full out launching into. I mean, the entire call was Ask Cat Williams, and they had no answer for it. None.
That's great. That's so good. That's so good.
And that's my, when I go on another show, I like to call myself the best bad impressionist that you ever met in your life, because all of them are not spot on, but when I do them, you know exactly who the hell I'm supposed to be. So,
your Cat Williams impression was spot on.
I think that's the best one in the arsenal there, because it's not a very far stretch to go from Cat Michael Williams to just drop it down a little bit of an octave and go, my name is Medea. That's mud to the damn DEA. The Lord say peace be still, but I got a piece of steel in this person to make you sit down.
Wow. I think that's the best one in Arsenal. I'm working on a Denzel. I'm not quite ready to premiere that one, but I mean, you know, all you have to do to beat Denzel is are you telling me right now? That's what you're telling me? I'm on this podcast.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
You know, every now and again, you know, Bernie Mac will come out. The rest in peace, Bernie Mac. Ain't got no time to be on this podcast. I gotta get some milk and cookies. I've been black a long time. I'm here to tell you.
Whoa!
How long? I was doing the show. The other day down here in Oklahoma City at the Paycom Center. I was talking to a guy. I said, "How long you been a fan?" He said, "What you here for?" He said, "Nothing." I said, "How long you been a fan of the Sooners?" He said, "Ever." You know, that's a long time. You take the 4 off that motherfucker.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
So,
but the one that I
have
to go ahead, Chris.
So I have to ask you. You've won back-to-back national championships. You should have been in the playoffs last year. Did you ever think you would get to this point with Georgia after Kirby's first year?
Oh hell yeah! I saw it because he was cut. He was cut from. Okay, I'm gonna have to go back about 40-something years worth of history.
Yeah.
When Georgia won that national championship, of course we know the late great Vince J. Dooley, but what another name that a lot of people do, they know Herschel Walker and they know Ron Lindsey won, but one of the names that they do not know is the man behind that defense that got them the name the Junkyard Dogs, and there was a guy by the name of Irk Russell. Irk Russell came up with a philosophy for his defense, and they interviewed him for Sports Illustrated after the national championship. So, what is your philosophy to get these guys up and motivated? He said, "It's a simple 4-letter plan, gotta." And they said, "Well, what does that stand for?" He said, "Get after their asses." Now, for the purposes of printing that in Sports Illustrated, it was get after them aggressively, of course. But he took that philosophy and he molded and shaped that defense. And in Kirby, I see a lot of what I saw in Irk Russell. You've seen Kirby Smart on those sidelines. Like, it's a good thing that they don't have him fully mic'd up during the games, because you would get, I mean, the FCC would just, I mean, somebody would have to have their finger on the dump button. You see Kirby get all fired up after something like that. So yeah, but yeah, when I saw him come in and I saw him hooping and hollering at the players on the sidelines and things like that, and how he has the same coaching skill set as Mark Richt, but he brought the fire that Mark didn't bring, because Mark was all about building men and things of that nature, and pat them on the back. It's all right, son. We'll get him next time. Kirby's in their face with that visor. He can't decide whether he wants to pull it down and yank it off and beat you with it. Yeah. After that first year, and then when they went to that Rose Bowl that year, I said, "Oh, that's our guy." I said, I was upset that we lost, but I said we will be back 100%.
For sure.
So with that being said, and now we know the history of a little short synopsis of a 41-year history. Let's break down this year's Georgia team. So I know, of course, you follow them a whole lot closer than we do. Break us down. Give us a glimpse into Georgia's lineup this year.
Well, Skip, are you referring to? Oh, I forgot. I don't work with Skip no more. I work with Stephen A. Smith. But are you referring to the actual schedule or the team, or what you want?
The team, the roster. Let's go. Let's start out with the offense.
I'm just gonna say this. I have been following this roster. This year is going to be what I'd like to call the new and improved dog squad. And the reason that I say that is because, with the exception of Carson Beck, And oh Lord, I'm looking at names right now. But Carson Beck is one of the last remaining players that was on the roster when they last won a national championship. Okay. You also have Oscar Delp. Oscar Delp, who's been there for 3 years, so he's been there. But there's a lot of unknown names. Like we know about Jaden Rashada. I'm actually surprised at the number of quarterbacks they have in this room right now. This is the quarterback room right now. You've got Carson Beck, who's a presumed starter. Okay. You've got Jaden Rashada, who we know took a bunch of money from Florida. Well, didn't get the money he wanted from Florida, went to Arizona State, cashed a check, and now he's in Athens. Right, you got Ryan Puglisi, who's a 4-star out of Massachusetts. Gunnar Stockton, who used to go back and forth with Vandergrift when they were in school. Coulter Ginn, who I've never heard of. He's a freshman. Colin Drake, who I've never heard of, who's a junior. And Sam Bush, who's out of Athens, Georgia. We got 2, 4, 6, 7 quarterbacks in the QB room right now. And presumed starters going to be Carson, and I'm pretty sure Carson's going to be number 2. And after that, I'm thinking it's going to be between Puglisi and Jalen Rashada as the number 3. That's where I'm at with that. But what I'm interested to see with the quarterbacks is I want to see if Carson Beck cuts loose a little bit more. We know every quarterback is different. We remember the mailman, Stetson Bennett. We remember that guy with all the swagger of Johnny Manziel, not as much of the vices, and quick to improvise a play if things broke down, quick with his legs, just as quick with his legs as he is with his arm. Beck is more of a pocket passer, but very calm, cool, and collected in the pocket. And does not get uber frustrated with himself when he fires. So I want to see if they've come up with anything that's going to help him cut loose a little bit more. Now the thing with the wide receivers is that we only have looked like one wide receiver coming back that was on that squad, and that's Arian Smith, who's a senior. Got a couple of guys coming in. I looked up some of them, and I'm like, these guys weren't even on the radar,
right,
at all, because you had all these. I mean, that just tells you how stacked this squad is. If they got guys on the roster that are sophomores, I never heard of because they weren't dressing and playing. At Aaron Smith, you got Michael Jackson III, who came in from USC.
I was waiting on it.
You got London Humphreys. Chris, that's a name that should be familiar to you. He came from Vanderbilt. We got the senior named Kayvon Townsend out of El Camino College in Texas. And we got one other senior named Isaiah Reeves out of Charleston, who came from Charleston, and he's out of Long Island, New York. So he's going to be catching the ball. He's like, look at me now. Like, look what I did. Coach, can I go get a cannoli after the game? Seriously, this is a no-name squad, man. Oscar Delp, I'm looking at Oscar Delp and Arian Smith to be number 1 at wide receiver and number 1 at tight end. Oscar Delp, as we know, got a lot of reps after Kirby would pull the starters. He played behind quite possibly one of the greatest tight ends we've seen in recent years in Brock Bowers. But Oscar Delp is equally good. We got to see a little bit of him in action this year. I think they're finally going to take him off the leash. Good God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tight ends. That's insane.
Lord.
Yeah, I mean, now granted, all of these guys are not going to, dress and play.
Sure.
They're not all going to get scholarships to be able to play. Another interesting thing that I want to see is what they're going to do with the running back combination this year. One of the things that Georgia is famous for, good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah.
A running back combination.
Right.
The running back combo. You had Gurley and Marshall. They called them Gershel because they were numbers 3 and 4, and it was like a tribute to Herschel. You had Chubb and Michelle. This year, you got Trevor Etienne coming out of Florida, and you know Kirby loves to lean on his running back. So I want to see what's going to happen when Kirby cuts this guy loose and lets him do his thing. And he's got a lot of, Sunbelt Billy, God bless you. You probably should have stayed where you were. He probably didn't know what to do with Trevor Etienne. Trevor Etienne was definitely a wasted talent in Florida. Yes. So I want to see him put the work.
Sunbelt Billy.
And
he's not even the running back I'm excited about.
I would now the one I want to see is the kid that looked like a grown ass man. His senior year in high school that tore his ACL or his patella tendon. Yes. Branson Robinson, 5'10", 220. Those of you listening, 220 doesn't sound like a lot, but I am 6'1", so this guy is 3 inches shorter than me, and he's only 30 pounds lighter than me.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got another guy too. You got Roderick Robinson, who's 6 foot 240.
I've seen that. He's looking nasty, and he came from California. Like, here's the thing: Alabama, Texas, California, and Florida. Those are probably the 4 high school football stud states where you go to get these players from. I don't know about San Diego though, because most of the studs come out of Southern California, but we're not gonna knock San Diego. We'll see what he brings to the table. I also want to see. We saw a lot of this guy last year. 6 feet tall, and now he's small for a running back, 182 pounds. But Cash Jones has got the heart of an offensive lineman. I think we're going to see a lot of him as well. I really want to see what he's bringing. I don't really have a lot to say about what I think the offense is really going to be like because, like I said, a lot of these guys we just have not seen play. Sure. I do want to see Jaden get some garbage time play to see what he looks like. We've seen Gunner. We know what Gunner can do. I think we would have seen more of Jaden if Florida had actually come up with the money, but he went to Arizona State. And the big story on that side of the country last year was Caleb Williams at USC and Deion at Colorado. And of course our former assistant coach as the head coach at Oregon, and the rebirth of Bo Nix. Let's see here. What are we looking at? The O-line. The O-line. Where's my O-line?
Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a stout O-line because
it's very stout.
Carson Beck is a pocket passer, so he's going to be sitting back there he's just going to be. You might as well make him a home back there.
Yeah, we've got. Let's see. Now this is as far as our returning players, we got Tate Ratledge is coming back. God, Tate was a ridiculous stud. Tate and Xavier Truss will be back, and those guys. If you want somebody to anchor that O line, I mean they're both seniors, so that means they played and protected both Stetson and now Carson. I'm looking for those guys to step up and definitely be the captains of that offensive line 100%. The rest of these guys are all like freshmen and sophomores. So that's going to have to see. Now, here's my concern. If I have any concern about the squad this year, it is that the defense is young as hell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nazir Stackhouse is coming back. I don't know if you remember him. He had that I don't know if it was a fumble or an interception, and he rumbled and stumbled his way down the field. I forgot who it was he had that against. I had a whole post about that guy after that game. But most of the rest of the D-line is freshmen, redshirt freshmen, redshirt sophomores, and juniors.
Yeah.
And then our secondary is very young. All like literally down the line, freshman, junior, sophomore, redshirt freshman, redshirt sophomore, freshman. We got one senior, Dan Jackson from Gainesville, Georgia. We got Ja'Cory Thomas. I think Ja'Cory made a couple of key plays last year. Now, what I will say, and of course, we can't forget Malachi Starks. I think, was the star. We can't forget Malachi Starks. He was definitely the glue that I want to see. What I want to see from my defense this year is I need to see Malachi or Nazir needs to step up. Remember that defense of that 2021 squad.
Yeah,
Nakobe Dean was the general.
Mm-hmm.
You had that D line was ridiculous. Big Baby. I mean, you had Big Baby. You had Nolan Smith, even though he spent most of his senior year hurt. I needed to see somebody step up and become the general of that defense and pull those guys together. You think about the 85 Bears. Who was the general of that defense? Don't all shout the answer at once.
I'm not going to shout the answer. I don't want to shout the answer.
Come on, George. You're the Bears. You're the Bears hater. You have to know the answer.
Negative. Nope. Educate us.
Say it.
No.
No, you tell me.
Say it, George.
Hey, look, this is class participation.
No, but then here's the problem. I wasn't alive and
Singletary.
Bears were running. Thank you.
Mike Singletary. Who
Singletary? I know that name. I didn't know that.
Who went on to famously say, "Can't work with a guy like that. Can't play with him. Can't work with him. Can't do it."
Right.
But he was the general on that defense. God, you go back to and this is before a lot of you guys' time. Me and Chris are probably on to remember the steel curtain. You have Mel Blount, who's that guy, and him and Mean Joe Green. Those were the generals of that defense. Yeah. Every team that had a stout defense had somebody to step up and say, "All right, guys, this is for we've look what we've built. We got to do this. We got to come out and do this." Now, of course, the key to this whole thing and the success of this program rests on the back of one of the most dynamic coaches I have seen in the history of this program, and Kirby Smart. Kirby was actually, it is rumored that Kirby was actually considering retiring the year before, like that year leading up to the championship season. He was considering retiring. And as Chris Brown once famously said, "Look at me now."
So here, looking at Georgia's schedule, I mean, here it is right here, plain and actually black and white. I was about to say,
why everything got to be about back? And listen, boo boo, let me tell you something. Everything is not just as clear as black and white. Clearly, that is magenta with a light filter over the top of it.
You're right. When you write, you're right. I mean, can't argue with Cat Williams. But let's break this schedule down because, I mean, in theory, when you look at this, it's like, oh, man, Georgia should be able to run right through it.
The schedule sucks. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that schedule is – well, I mean, Georgia
they play 5 –
go ahead.
They play 5 of the top 25 preseason ranked teams.
Yeah, they do.
Well,
that's not easy by any stretch.
But here's what I'm saying. Even as a Georgia fan, I'm looking at it going, "Wow, this might be a nice little walk." But again, can you say? I mean, honestly, can you say that you're the champion? Like the big thing about Georgia beating Bama in the national championship is like, can you honestly say that you're elite or top tier if you haven't beaten the best of the best? Now, granted, we never got by Nick in the conference championship, but when it came time to play for that trophy, there it is. So go ahead. Do you want me to jump in, or you want to lead? You want to lead in and let me?
Oh no, we can all jump in, but just to break it down for all of our listeners that can't see what we're talking about. So they start out the gate August 31st against Clemson. Then they got Tennessee Tech, at Kentucky, at Alabama, at home against Auburn, at home against Mississippi State, at Texas, at home against Florida, at Ole Miss, at home against Tennessee, UMass, and finish it out with Georgia Tech. There's a few games I got circled. The two most obvious games that I got circled is Alabama and Texas. Both of them are away. I don't know how long. I haven't looked up exactly. I don't know how long it's been since Georgia has been to Bryant-Denny Stadium. I know it's been a little bit, but I'm gonna just go out on a limb here. That might be the craziest Bryant-Denny Stadium is going to be in a long time. I don't think we'll see Bryant-Denny as crazy as it's going to be when Georgia comes in. And then at Texas. I mean, anytime you go to Austin and is in the middle of that chaos is interesting because that's going to be rocking too. So, what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I'm going to give you the answer to, let's see, neutral field. Last time we played in Alabama was in 2007. It was an overtime 26-23 win.
There you go. So it's been since
the last
2007.
Yeah. Now, I agree with you. As soon as I saw the schedule, I went looking for tickets, and they were already $600 because Tuscaloosa is only like I think, if I read it right, about 6.5 hour drive. If you consider stops for gas and stuff like that, maybe more like 7.5. But that's not that far of a drive. That's closer than going to visit my mom in Memphis. But the tickets are just too much, bro. But the Bryant-Denny Stadium is already one of the great. Well, actually, I take that back. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Tiger fans, if any of you are watching this right now, I'm just gonna go ahead and give it to you guys as probably the absolute craziest home game experience in the SEC. I mean, you're in Louisiana already. Half of y'all have probably drank something made by a Greek man and didn't even know it. And then you got the band. Every time y'all play at home, they play neck and get fined. They just don't put it on TV when they do it. So yeah. But Alabama is to play. And here's the thing: not only are they playing in Texas on the 19th, then they turn around. I'm sorry, they play in Texas. Wait a minute, let me back up and look at the schedule again. So they play Alabama on the 28th. Then they turn around the following week, and Auburn comes to Georgia. Now, I'm going to say this about Auburn. Auburn might not be the cream of the crop of the SEC. They might not be where they were during the Cam Newton years, but Auburn is still that's a slobber knocker, as old boy used to say. Every time we played the two or three teams that we play every year. Every time we play them is always be beating each other up. Is Auburn, Missouri, and here recently Kentucky has been giving us a little bit of run for the money. But you're playing Alabama in Bryant-Denny and having to listen to Dixieland Delight about 8 times. Then you playing Auburn at home. Then the following week, you got to get your popcorn ready because the lane train is coming to the lane train is coming to Athens, and then the following week after that, you got to travel to Austin and play Texas, and then they get the 2-week rest, and then they go to Florida for the neutral site game against the Gators.
Wait a minute, did you say October 12th? The lane train's coming in? Is that what
yes, sir.
Said?
Yep.
Oh no, that's Mississippi State's coming.
Oh, it's Mississippi.
Ole Miss is on the 9th. 9th of
November. I got that wrong. Oh, yeah. Okay. So we got to listen to cowbells.
There you go. Yep, you got to listen to cowbells. That's right.
It was really great, but it could have used more cowbell. That's a bad one. I had to throw that one away. I can't do him at all. But still, so you got Mississippi. I mean, so you might have a little bit of a respite, but you got 3 out of 4 weeks. You got 3 out of 4 weeks. Well, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4 over a 6-week span. You're playing the reigning SEC champion.
Right.
You're playing the reigning SEC champion's biggest rival the next week. The following week, you got to listen to cowbells all week, so you might be definitely not be able to hear the signals. The next week after that, you got to hear the odds of Texas are upon you all game, and that's and Quinn Ewers, I think, has something to prove this year. He's got something to prove because if he doesn't, by the time that game rolls around, you know who might be suiting up. So and then the week you get the rest for 2 weeks, and then you go down to Florida and play against your biggest rival.
Right.
I mean, that's just, dude. I don't see that. I don't see that being an easy schedule at all. That's rough. Now,
right. Well, that's the thing. Like when you look at it, to me, like I'm looking at, I've said, man, this might be Georgia's toughest schedule they've had in a while. I mean, this is rough.
Oh, for
Because
sure.
the four games that I see that they could end up dropping: Alabama, Texas, Ole Miss, and Tennessee.
I don't think Ole Miss. I don't think Ole Miss. I think I think Ole Miss will give us a run.
Yeah.
But where I'm going with that is, I think Kirby's inside Lane's head.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, I'm saying is from a like a talent standpoint. I'm talking about like,
oh yeah,
if I was a betting man, the games that look most close, closest to upsets to me are those four.
Oh yeah, and Tennessee is Tennessee.
Yeah.
And Tennessee is trying to actually build something. And granted, they're not doing it brick by brick like they were doing a few years ago,
right.
But they're definitely building something there. And if they do it right, as we like to say, the right way, Tennessee could become a force to be reckoned with. Now, the beautiful part about that is, because it's a new and improved SEC, there's no more divisions, which again, that makes me sad. Like, we're not playing Vandy this year. Win, lose, or draw, I look forward to playing Vandy every year, because that was one of those games we played every year. I don't even think we're playing Missouri this year, and that's another one. They're not on our schedule this year, but let me tell you what. As far back as when Kirby started coaching, Missouri has always, remember, was it year before last? The second year, the second championship.
Right.
We went to Missouri and almost dropped that when it took a fourth quarter comeback. Missouri is, I mean, and but let's see. As far as Clemson is concerned, they got Cade Klubnik at quarterback. I don't see Dabo winning in Atlanta with Cade.
Right.
Cade has proven himself to be talented, but not quite ready for, as they call the Saturday Night Live crew, not quite ready for prime time.
Yeah, he's unproven. I don't have much stock in him either.
Tennessee Tech, I think Tennessee Tech is going to be one of those games where we're going to get to see the bulk of the players on the roster get out there. And so if there's a game that you want to watch where you want to see some of these fringe players and who's going to round out the roster and the guys that we all talked about wanting to see, Tennessee Tech is definitely a game you want to tune into. At Kentucky, shout out to our guy. I'm pretty sure anybody that's an SEC football fan and exists on Facebook knows who our buddy Wesley Gaines is. Wes, I'm sorry, you're not winning that game this year. Coach Stoops has done all he can, and I think until he gets some more money from somewhere, some NIL money or something for the program, they're just not going to be able to. I consider Kentucky to be just a half step behind Ole Miss. Like, they get the talent, but they just can't. They're not quite gelling yet. And then of course the Crimson Tide. Now, the one thing to our advantage in that game is new coach.
Yeah, who knows what Alabama's going to look like?
Yeah, and we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4 weeks into the season. Who knows what Alabama's going to be at that point? Now, you got Milroe coming back.
Right.
And you got Milroe coming back, and I think there's a good amount of staff coming back. So we shall see what happens there. I mean, Milroe's still a little rough around the edges, but if they get him right, he's going to be dangerous as hell.
Yeah, sure.
Now looking at the rest of the schedule, Florida, this is proven to get out. I think even if he wins and ends with a winning season, I think Sunbelt Billy's going to get the boot this year. I think they're just waiting for his contract to play out. Like, even if he rolls,
absolutely.
Even if he rolls to a national championship, I think he's going to get the boot. I mean, Coach O won a national championship, and the following year they stroked him a $17 million check and said, "Go Tigers," and that was the end of that.
Right.
The Vols, of course, and then UMass at home and Georgia Tech at home. Georgia Tech is actually taking their program seriously for the first time in a long time. I'm not saying that they're going to win, but last year was a little something. I kind of was going into halftime going, we're not about to drop a game to Georgia Tech, are we really?
Yeah.
Like, the hardest fought game I saw between Georgia and Georgia Tech, and the last game I got to see at Sanford Stadium, and this tells you how long it's been since I've been to a game. Starting quarterback for the Georgia Bulldogs, Super Bowl champion quarterback Matthew Stafford.
There you go. That's a long time.
Starting wide receiver number 1 for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, future of Indiana Hall of Fame, Megatron.
Oh my! Wow.
That's how long it's been since I've been to a game. But they're actually taking themselves seriously. And that was a hard-fought game. It came down to the very last play. Stafford connected with Massaquoi in the right corner of the end zone. I remember that because I was on the sidelines. That was great. I had sideline passes. But that's where my brother's friends with a guy that works in a ticket office. I don't know if he still works there, but membership has this privilege. Skip, don't play with me, Skip. Don't play with me, Skip. If you got the juice, they gotta cut it loose. That's all my granny used to say back in the day.
That's it.
So I think realistically speaking, I can see a run through I can see another perfect season. But any one of those games that we mentioned could be dropped. We could drop. Now the beautiful part about it is now you don't have to win the conference to get in the playoffs.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Chris, what's your thoughts on the schedule?
I actually have Georgia going unbeaten. If they drop a game, it's either going to be at Texas or against Georgia Tech. And I say Georgia Tech because Brent Key has given Kirby Smart absolutely terrible nightmares. I don't know what he's got on Georgia that he's able to get his team up for that. But he's been giving Kirby Smart nightmares the last 2 games. The thing with Texas, you see it's late in October. Is Quinn Ewers going to be healthy at that point in the season? Because if it's one thing we've seen with Ewers, his durability hasn't been there. He's been injured every year at some point, missed a game or 2.
Yep.
And I feel at that point in the season, he may be on the sidelines.
Durability and inconsistency for Ewers.
So I feel like they get by Texas.
Yeah.
And the biggest threat to me is the Georgia Tech game. That, like I said, Brent Key, I don't know what he's got figured out on Georgia, but he's given them absolute fits, and I could see that potentially being a problem. But I see him going undefeated.
You don't think Tennessee has any kind of a chance?
No.
Not at all.
No.
Okay.
You don't think so?
I just think Tennessee's not at that point yet. They're getting there, but they're not there yet.
Well, don't tell your boy Jeezy that.
As far as Alabama goes,
what do you mean he don't know ball? That's what you talking about, Jeezy? He don't know ball.
I'm not talking about Akon and Young Jeezy. I'm talking about our Jeezy, that Jeezy.
That Jeezy, yeah. Right.
I don't think Jalen Milroe is a starter in that game. I think by that point in the season they make the move to Ty Simpson.
I can't see that.
What?
Well, the reports are Ty Simpson's a better fit for the offense that Kalen DeBoer runs.
Yeah, but it depends on the talent, and that's where I'm at.
If Alabama drops that game against South Florida, I think the switch is made to Ty Simpson.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah, he's Mr. Hot Take over here. We gotta get something going. I remember what
now, wait just a second. Hold on a second. Vandy Chris, are you telling me right now that if South Florida beats Alabama, now we're talking like men. I'm a man, you a man. We're not just sitting there bloviating. You're telling me that they're gonna start the other kid over Jalen Milroe, who almost took them to a national championship this past season. Make it make sense.
He's a better fit for the system. Sometimes being a better athlete doesn't make you a better fit for the system. Sometimes the system has to have the fit.
We will see about that. I mean, hey, he's gonna stand on promise for that one, but I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening at all.
There's a lot to be said. There's a lot to be said for a good fit. Just as that pole vaulter. Did I say that out loud?
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my! Hello.
Ain't lying about that one.
I do have.
Yeah. We lost you, brother.
We lost you. What?
So Landon Humphreys, we saw him in the bowl practices, making plays over Kaylee Ringo and Malachi Starks.
Mm-hmm.
Can he step up and be that number one guy?
I will tell you this. In the Kirby Smart system, anything is possible. You understand what I'm saying? Cash Jones is a perfect example. You heard me tell you how many running backs there are in that room this year. There was the same number in the room last year. And you're talking about, you had Kendall wasn't even 100% healthy. Cash was getting a lot of touches. If Kirby thinks you can get the job done, Kirby will start someone over you. What's the young man's name that left Georgia and went to? Did he leave Alabama and come to Georgia, or leave Georgia and go to Alabama? Was a wide receiver, tight end. I can't remember his name because he didn't stay with us very long. But he just wasn't getting it. Oh, I'm sorry, Eric Gilbert.
Yeah.
Eric Gilbert. And that was neither of those scenarios that I mentioned a minute ago.
Sometime a pimp forget. I've done a lot of movies and comedy tours, so I forget things.
He was a number one talent. He was like 4 or 5-star rated coming out of high school. And Kirby brought him in and gave him a chance, and he couldn't get it done. And he wound up sitting on the sidelines watching. So I will tell you this. Kevin Garnett very famously said it a long time ago, and the Lonely Island appropriated it for a very popular song. Anything is possible in that Kirby Smart system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, Stetson. You don't believe me? Just ask Stetson Bennett. Stetson came to play, and he said, "Nah, kid, go do your thing for a minute." And he went off and came back. He was 30 years old with a fake birth certificate, and he wound up winning 2 national championships.
Yeah, just about.
I'm just
go ahead, Chris.
So I'm going to go out in the deep water.
Oh God!
And I'm going to ask.
I just want to stop you for a second. I'm gonna stop you right there before you go too far. And as a general rule, people that look like me don't tend to go too far in the deep water because there's sharks out there. Okay, continue your request.
I'm going to dial up my favorite preacher. I need to hear from Reverend Red and Black what he's going to tell this team to get them motivated.
Okay. Let me see if I can get Rev to come out. Ladies and gentlemen of the congregation, let the congregation say amen, amen, and amen again. As we know, we are a mere few short weeks and several days away from the start of the college football season. And yet again, the men who wear the red and black are prepared to take the field and do battle against any foe.
Yes, sir.
It's not time yet, Deacon. I'll give you the hint. The organ player hasn't started yet. Hold on. Hold what you got. I'll get to you in a minute. The men of the red and black will do battle on the field yet again. This year, they're battling Tigers and the Eagles and Crimson Tides. Oh, my. And then more Tigers. Why there's so many Tigers? This must be a box of animal crackers. You know that's what Jacob ate when the Lord sent him out in the wilderness for 42 days by himself. He ate animal crackers in his soup with monkeys and tigers that loop to loop. They playing Mississippi State Mo Bulldogs. They playing Longhorns and Shorthorns and Gators and Rebels and the whole 9.
That's right.
But you know that with our great Bulldog spirit and the sky-appointed leader, Kirby Smart, and his world-famous visor,
The dogs will reign victorious. The bell will ring from one end of Clark County to the other. We will hear the bell ring. The bell will ring in Clark County, the county seat of Athens, Georgia.
Yes.
The bell will ring in New York City. The bell will even ring louder than the Liberty Bell in Philadelphia. The bell will ring right here in Oklahoma City. And when it rings, oh, yes, Lord, I wish I had some help. And when it rings, then all of the Bulldog faithful will rise up in support of the men who now wear red and black with two words, two simple words that exemplify the hearts and the minds and the spirit of the Bulldog Nation. All of Georgia's people said, go dogs, and go dogs. Thank you so very much. We go ahead and put the offering plate over in the corner over there.
That's right. There you go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh man, that was great.
You know how hard it is to do that voice like that for 3-4 solid minutes.
Oh, I bet it's tough.
I mean, it's bad enough because I do some voiceover work too, and sometimes they ask for movie announcer guy, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna have to record this in snippets and put it together because you can't do that voice all the time. Ladies and gentlemen, in a world where three men come together to discuss Georgia football, there's a man outside of Fort Leonard Wood. There's a man drinking orange sugar, and a man who won't wander too far into the water for fear his perm will come out. Oops, too late. Ladies and gentlemen, Golden Boot Podcast coming soon everywhere where you get your streaming podcasts.
Absolutely fantastic, Anthony.
Don't have bad Jason Statham either. It's easy to go right from that to that.
That's so good, man. That's so good. I love it. Well, hey, real quick before we jump off here, because man, I know more about Georgia football than I think I know about my own daggum team now. But real quick before we get out of here, how do people find you? How do people follow you? How do people find you on your show?
Our show is on YouTube, and it is also streamed on Facebook. It is called This Week in UGA Football. Myself and my host, my good friend Colin Pashew, from North Georgia, myself from Savannah, Georgia, two Georgia boys who love getting together and talking football. Yeah. And we are on Mondays, and we are planning to come back. I forgot when we said we were coming back. It seemed to me that we need to come back. We're going to be on the Monday. Our first show will be the Monday before the season starts.
There you go.
It'll be right here on YouTube, and I will be more than happy to send. I'm gonna put the link. I always keep falling back in the cat. And when you go in the cat, sometimes it's not very hard to fall into Kevin Hart. I tried, but I was small. I couldn't. Well, I'm still working on that one. Anyway, the point is that we will be back the week before the season starts. It's called This Week in UGA Football. Please feel free to check us out. I wanted to drop some news on you, gentlemen. Chris, I told you I was going to hang on to this until the show started. I have been working with the ladies professional football program here in Oklahoma City, the Oklahoma City Lady Force, one single game away from making their way to the Women's Football Alliance Division II championships, 6 championships in the last 10 years overall. And they were playing at a local high school here, their playoff game. And one of the school personnel was there. It's like, do you ever do any PA work? I said, well, absolutely I do. And she said, give me your number. We're going to talk. We just talked earlier this week, and you are now looking at the official PA announcer for the Putnam City Patriots high school football team for the 2024 season.
Nice. You will do phenomenal at it. I hope you do some Cat Williams on that. That would be hilarious.
I don't know how these good folks in Oklahoma City will deal with Cat. We
just have to keep it clean because a pimp sometimes got to diversify his portfolio.
That's right.
But we did so that was the news I'm going to drop. And so I wanted to say I don't know what happened to your other co-hosts, but gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for having your boy on. This was a lot of fun. And anytime y'all want me on, please feel free. And I would love to have both of you come on and give us some commentary on This Week in UGA Football as well. So
yeah,
anytime we can have y'all on, y'all are more than welcome.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll definitely get you on again, and we'd be more than happy as long as I mean, it's just three dudes talking football. It ain't like we got a life or anything. So, no, Cody's got all of his kids with him, so he had to jump off. But yeah, no, I'm just thrilled you came on. You definitely educated us, and we'll have to get you on mid-season. Get a little the Georgia mid-season update.
A little pulse check.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I have
dude.
a feeling you'll still be undefeated, but hey.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie to you. When I looked at that 2021 schedule, I said there's a loss in there somewhere. I know it, and every week Colin and I just tried to downplay it. We didn't want to be like those really unrealistic Tennessee fans. Not Jeezy. Jeezy loves Tennessee, but he's more of a realist. But we didn't want to be like those unrealistic Tennessee fans that like we're winning brick by brick 88,000 championships. Every week we were like, well, I think we have a good shot at winning, but we really got to be careful about XYZ because if we don't do this, we could drop that one. And every week they won it. We come back and like before we would go on, Colin and I would be in agreement. We're like, damn, bro, we won another one. What you think? I'm like, dude, don't say it. We're not gonna jinx it.
Nope.
Don't say it. We're not gonna jinx it. And
that's it.
Here I was the first week of February in my living room crying like after I signed off. I was like, my wife hugged me. She's like, they won, baby, they won. I was like, I know. All my life I had to fight. You don't want to trade places with what I've been through, Miss Silly. Anyway.
Absolutely love it. Anthony, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it very much. Been a blast. Absolutely. Incredible show. Chris, final thoughts before we get out of here.
My final thoughts is, by God, I'm glad we don't play Georgia this year because that team is absolutely loaded. Oh, my God.
Me too. I'm an Arkansas fan, and I don't want to play Georgia. Absolutely.
Hey, look, I got nothing but love for Arkansas. We'll pick Suey, damn it.
Hey, we'll pick Suey.
Anchor down. Feel me? I'm showing love. I'm showing love. I got a partner of mine. He worked for Missouri the week before the game. I walked by him. I said, M-I-Z. He went, what?
He went, what?
He did just like that because he was shocked. He was like,
So, real quick, last question. Is there a tougher quarterback in the SEC than Carson Beck? Because I know that he can actually tackle a football player, too.
I don't know. I would have to say of the ones that I am familiar with this season, I would probably say Jalen is pretty damn tough too.
Okay,
because he got beat and banged up real good last season, and he still got them to the SEC to the SEC championship and won. Because that defense threw everything they could at them, but the kitchen sink, and that kid kept coming back. So I would have to say just out of allegiance, Carson at number 1 and Jalen at number 2. Now Bama fans would probably flip them around, but that's what I got.
Okay,
perfect. Well, we appreciate you again for coming on. I don't know how many times I got to say that, but if you're listening, whatever platform you're listening on, if you're watching, whatever platform you're watching on. Hey, make sure you hit that like, subscribe button to all of our socials. That helps us out so much. Hit that bell. Make sure you follow us on every single thing. We are on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. And stay tuned because we possibly maybe soon live on TikTok. So more to come there.
Click the subscribe button. Do it now. Do it now before they're coming. There's a bomb. Get out of there. There's a bomb in there. Click it right there.
That's so good.
Do it now. Kill me now. Come on.
Cookie down.
So good.
Appreciate it so much. So hey, make sure if you haven't already, hit every single like, heart, whatever, reaction, whatever. Follow, share, everything you need. Hey, we appreciate you guys so much. This has been the Golden Boot Podcast. We'll come at you live later on this week. We got a bunch of stuff for you. Trust me. But again, we want to say a special thank you for Anthony coming on, doing this Georgia special with us. So stay golden. We will see you guys next time.